What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock, what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and talk about what on earth my price prediction is for tomorrow, and talk about why on earth I think upside is very probable before we do see a little bit of downside after. Now, before I talk about why on earth I think Tesla is going to make a parabolic move tomorrow, what the news is saying about Elon Musk and the whole Twitter deal, and all that good stuff, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, as you know, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. And not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo with the link down below and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed up to 10 free stocks, each worth up to $2,500. And the best part is, out of the 10 free stocks, 5 are going to come from the wheel right here. This means that you could get 5 free AMC shares, 5 free Tesla shares, 5 free Apple shares, and so on and so forth if you sign up and deposit $100 with the link down below. You'll also get free real-time level 2 data and access to the Singapore and Hong Kong exchanges. It's a limited time offer. It ends in just 5 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So looking at Tesla, this thing is currently up about 2.54%. I mean, it was up that much when we closed on Friday. We're up another 2.35% in the after hours. We're up almost $18 just after the bell closed. So Tesla is starting to rally already. That's after this piece of news came out right here. So I want to note something very important, okay? This is not 110% confirmed. It's not like the entire Twitter deal is just completely off and it's never going to be on the table again. But as of right now, all right, based off what reports are saying, based off many notices, Elon Musk has notified Twitter that he is terminating the deal. All right. And what's happening is Musk has basically notified Twitter, and his attorney made the claim that Twitter failed to comply with its obligations in the merger agreement. And there's so many complications to this. The Twitter's board chair, Brett Taylor, they basically stated that the company is still committed to closing the deal at the agreed upon price and plans to pursue legal action to enforce the agreement. So back and forth, this is turning into a big legal battle, and this will go on for many, many years, because I think Twitter even claimed that they're willing to sue Elon Musk if this doesn't go through as they had anticipated. Now, that's not necessarily guaranteed. Things can switch, but because of this news, because this is what is being shown as of right now, to me personally, this can lead to some major upside for Tesla. Now, how major is major? I mean, relative to the overall market and how choppy things have been, even like a 5% move up is pretty major. And I do think that this is going to be a catalyst that may push Tesla up just temporarily, just for maybe a day or two. And to me, I do think that's what we're going to see going into tomorrow. So the reason why I believe this is going to be very kind of like bullish news for many Tesla investors is because the truth is, it's based off sentiment. It's based off, what do investors think? What are they thinking Elon Musk is going to do? So a lot of investors were worried. They were thinking, okay, if Elon Musk closes the deal with Twitter, he won't have much time on his hands. And if he doesn't have as much time on his hands, he won't be as invested into Tesla. And that they believe that that could have a negative effect on the entire company and other factors like that. So if Elon Musk closes, or I'm sorry, he ends this agreement, this deal, if that does happen, obviously he'll have more time, and they believe he'll have more time for Teslas, which is why a lot of investors are most likely going to kind of pour in a lot more money. They're going to gain some confidence, and they could actually push this thing up. Now, I'm not going to say that their logic is correct or not, because I have previously mentioned that I don't really agree with that. I think that even if he does close the deal with Twitter, Tesla is still going to prevail. They have a massive roadmap that's still there. They're still going to be huge. It's Elon Musk. I would not bet against him whatsoever. So what does this mean for the share price going forward? Let me see if I can show you the extended hours already. What you'll notice is once I show the extended hours, let me see if I could zoom in just a little bit. Let me actually show a smaller time frame to make this more clear. You'll notice the market closed right here, all right, back on Friday. Tesla closed around 752. Then in the after hours, we actually filled the gap that I was once talking about, that 772. And we actually pushed right around that key resistance level that I was talking about, which is around 776 to 780. 280, and that's where Tesla got a slight rejection. It's now kind of trading right there. So as you can see, I know this is showing this like this rectangle that's gray instead of black. It actually should end right here because this is when the market opens where my cursor is. So we're not that far from market open. I think the market opens within like, I don't know, 16 hours since I'm recording this. So market open is not that far. And so far, Tesla's holding up. It's currently at around, what is that, $770 a share. So it's looking kind of bullish, at least just temporarily. And I do think we're going to see continuation of this going forward. Now, there is one thing that I'm a little bit concerned about that could actually push the market kind of down or maybe add to more choppy price action, and that would be the CPI report that's coming out on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, we have the big CPI report, and it's going to be released, I believe, right before the market opens. And I mentioned in my previous video, if you look at gas prices, they skyrocketed in the month of June compared to May. And considering that CPI has a tendency of weighing in energy a lot more than that of PCE reports, that's an indication that CPI is going to be hot. It's going to be very hot. It's going to be high. And it is possible for the market to take a big hit on Wednesday if that comes. And we may even see a bit of a pullback near the close on Tuesday if there are some concerns and there's more uncertainty about that. So with that said, I want to inform you that, yeah, I do think Tesla's going to make a parabolic move, a nice push to the upside going into tomorrow, but there will likely be some downside around maybe Tuesday, but more on Wednesday, depending on CPI. But I do find it being more probable. For SPY, I've seen many different interpretations. Many people interpret it as making this like double top right here, and it should start to drop after that. But then the problem with that is if you zoom out of the charts, let me show you the 2 hour candles. When you zoom out, you could also argue that even though we are showing this double top, you could argue that we're trying to test this higher resistance level and we're trying to actually push to the upside in this upward direction. So it could really go either way, but from a technical standpoint, it does look a little bit more bearish than bullish because the volume is just not there. I've mentioned this previously. Let me pull up the daily candles and show you. The volume has just been dying out like crazy, very similar to this move right here. The volume was not that strong. Then we got a big rejection. So us getting rejected on SPY is a little bit more probable, but I can't promise it just yet unless we get a big spike in volume on Monday. So it could go either way, right? If we do break past 393, we'll most likely fill the gap all the way up to about 400. And the thing is, the market is just full of traps, full of things that no one would really expect. So it isn't necessarily illogical to say that that's possible as well. So the SPY does look like it's going to show some choppy price action. I don't think it's going to be that perfect. We'll have to wait and see how it performs, but this gap fill to 400 is still not out of the question before a potential rejection. So I'm still optimistic. I do think it's very possible, even though the technical analysis aspect of it isn't looking as great. But with that said, that could be the thing that kind of pushes Tesla a little bit down, whether it's for Monday or Tuesday. So what I'm trying to say is, look, I think Tesla's going to get a nice push up going into the open. All right, it's already like, let me actually pull up the extended hours again. It was at $770 already. So with that said, Tesla's probably going to gap up, in my opinion. And when you have big gaps up like this, typically they have to get filled down again, which is an indication that Tesla is going to drop later on. So when we open on a Monday, we might open around $770 a share, 765, somewhere around there, which is a lot higher than where we closed on Friday. And let me just draw this out just to give you a better perspective of what I think Tesla's going to do. So I want to go over a more bearish and bullish possibility, and I also want to give you guys my prediction. All right, but once I said, like I said before, I think Tesla is very, very likely to see a pretty good move. Let me just make the chart look a little bit better. Give me 1 second. So one of the things that's very common is that nice gap to the move up. That is what's going to help Tesla really, really push and kind of test these higher levels. So what I anticipate is this. I think that Tesla is going to actually open like this, 765 to 770 going into Monday, right? And we might continue to see some upside from there. this thing might push past 780. We may even test $800 if it's that parabolic. That's not out of the question from here. And let's just say Tesla does end up going that high as like $800 a share. We might get a rejection if the overall market starts to drop. So in the later hours of the trading day, as we get closer to market close, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing starts to drop a little bit. It is even possible for it to actually close a little red or very flat after a very parabolic move if the market does downward trend. But like I said before, high volatility, right? A big explosive move is probably going to come because of the big news involving Twitter. So this thing could actually peak around between, I would say, 780 to 800. I would say maybe even 800. This thing may even touch 800 going into tomorrow. And we might, maybe we could continue a little bit, but I do expect a slight sell off to happen a little bit later because of how the overall market is trending and other factors like that. So we're kind of moving not just based off some kind of like fundamental move or anything like that. It's more like we're just reacting to the news. And remember, we're going to have, or in my opinion, we're most likely going to have a gap like this. So this gap will probably get filled in the later days, especially after CPI is coming out and things like that. So I don't want you to just fall for these traps. The market might look insanely bullish tomorrow during open. They might want to trick people into getting a bunch of calls. This is what market makers often do. And what they do is they trick retail into buying more and more and more of these calls so that they end up kind of diluting the options chain by bringing about a bunch of calls that are out of the money with higher strikes. So what happens is the market makers avoid gamma, they avoid these gamma squeezes because they trick people into buying tons of calls out of the money. And then what they do is they drop the prices a little bit later, causing tons of calls to end up out of the money versus in the money. And as a result, it stops them from having to delta hedge or do anything like that. It makes them money. They trick retail investors. And that's just one of the tricks that they play on a day-to-day basis. So I just want to warn you about traps that could form. I mean, I love Tesla. I think it's an amazing company. I'm just putting it out there that the entire market has a tendency of doing this. But I do think we're going to see a move kind of like this going into Monday. So we might see a very parabolic move around to 800, maybe a little lower than that. It's very much possible. And after that, we might see a bit of a bleed off a little bit later, considering the market conditions. Now, if the entire market is like super bullish, if it just starts rallying and Tesla does not want to stop, it is also possible for Tesla to not sell off that hard. It might just push up all the way up to like 800, trade a little sideways, and might actually push all the way up to the low 800s temporarily before dropping a little bit later and closing around the high 700s. That's also possible. But like I said before, regardless of what happens, I do see downside being imminent if we do form a gap right here, and we do see CPI being very hot, leading to more uncertainty about the Fed and additional factors that affect PE ratios and earnings per share, and etc. and etc. So other big announcements that I have are the fact that earnings season is starting. So a lot of big tech companies are going to start reporting earnings within the next 2 to 4 weeks, and also starting this week. And also, we have a big FOMC meeting coming up, right? This is going to be closer to the end of July. So when all these things come up, all right, expect lots of volatility and choppiness in the markets. And like I said before in all my videos, I do anticipate some downside for the markets as we approach the second half of July, in my opinion. With that out of the way, I do think that Tesla will most likely make moves like this. I am actually leaning a little bit more towards this one. I do think we might not close insanely high. I mean, we're going to close in the green technically compared to where we were before, but I don't expect this massive rally for Tesla to last insanely long because we are just reacting to news. With that said, I do find a move like this being a little bit more probable. I don't think we're going to close red. I think it's going to be a green close, but the big run up may get followed by somewhat of a bleed off a little bit later as the day goes on. With that said and done, this is what I'm predicting will happen. I do think Tesla's going to close green, and I do think that we should see a very parabolic move in response to what was announced involving Twitter. With that out of the way, thank you for listening. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon, and peace out.